I'd like to say good afternoon and like to start our planning commission. Madam Secretary, would you call roll, please?
Sir. Mayor Gillespie.
Here.
Councilman Bowles. Chairman Gardner.
Here.
Vice Chair McCauley.
Here.
Chief Johnson.
Here.
Ms. Carpenter. Mr. Hall.
Here.
Mr. Nelson. And Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Let it be known that we do have a quorum. Has anyone had a chance to read the September 20th minutes?
I have, and I move they be approved as issued.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any comments or anything? All in favor of the September 20th minutes, let it be known by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. We don't have any old business as of today. And the new business is a rezoning for R2 single-family residential to B2, which is general business. And the lot is a 988 East Main Street, and the petitioner is Ruth Ann Smith. And this is a public hearing. So as of now, we open the public hearing. For anyone who'd like to speak for or against the public hearing, please come up and sign with Ms. Morgan, our secretary.
Can we get Mr. Duke to tell us what it is, where it is, and all that?
Yes. Public hearing. Right. All right, Mr. Duke.
Good afternoon. I don't believe that the representative for the petitioner is present. I'll be glad to, for purposes of the public hearing, tell you where we're located. This is at 988 East Main Street. This is the southwest corner of Spencer Street and Main Street, directly across Spencer Street from the old Chamber of Commerce building. The property is presently zoned R2. The petitioner is requesting that zoning be changed to B2.
Is there any questions or comments from anyone in the commissioners?
I guess I do have a question. The neighbors next to him have been notified of this?
Yes, sir. As with any rezoning, there is certified mail notice to every adjacent property. There is, within 500 feet is regular mail. Everybody gets a notice.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else like to speak at the public hearing? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Mr. Hall, if you will, would you read the resolution for the rezoning request from R2 to B2?
Thank you. This is 988 East Main, Ruth Ann Smith petition, November 15, 2012. Whereas Ruth Ann Smith is the owner of the property described in attachment A and shown in attachment B, and whereas the property to be zoned is located inside city limits at 988 East Main Street, and whereas the petition wishes to rezone property from R2 single-family residence to B2 general business. Whereas the public hearing on the proposed zoning was held by the Planning Commission on November 15, 2012. Now therefore be resolved that the City of Cloud Planning Commission hereby recommends rezoning of said property from R2 to B2. Mr. Chairman, I move we adopt this resolution.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Roy.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I move this be held until the petitioners can be here.
All right. Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second? Thank you. Motion failed because of lack of second. Mr. Hall. Thank you. Mr. Duke, you want to come and give us a little bit more detail?
In your package, you should have a copy of excerpt of the zoning map that shows this area. In the 1996 comprehensive plan, this area along Main Street was shown as being converted to commercial uses. The plan that was followed by the Planning Commission was almost to the letter of that 96 plan, which was, as folks came petitioned for a change of zoning, it was granted. It was recognized that the B2 would stretch basically from Memorial Drive down to Spencer, being kind of close to that major intersection of Memorial Drive and Main. But as you head further to the east, the intensity of the commercial use would drop off basically for two reasons. One is the depth of the lots is relatively more suited for residential than commercial, and so zoning that for intense commercial uses like you would find in the B2 was really not realistic, and would add probably to more traffic congestion on the road where we already have congestion created by the number of curb cuts. So office was really selected as the more appropriate, basically from Spencer to Curlin Street, and that was the pattern that was followed. Either more by oversight than on purpose. That commercial area was kind of left out of the 2009 plan as far as future land use, recognizing that we were trying to trim off commercial uses, trying to preserve neighborhoods. That area was kind of colored more of a residential, even though this pattern had already been established. If you had a chance to read the report, basically I stated that to go back and change the pattern at this point and try to preserve this as residential is really not realistic, and probably does a disservice to that property owner, because that property is not going to survive well as residential. So this zoning to B2 is appropriate based on the pattern that's been established. I'm going to suggest to you that the commission needs to look at the future land use plan and consider possibly going back to that was present in '96. Even though we were trying to trim back the amount of commercial area for the future, this area is established and probably needs to continue on out. Residential uses, healthy residential uses on East Main Street are not really, in my opinion, realistic over time. It's going to continue to increase. There's going to be more pressure for that to be commercial. So this proposed zoning is appropriate, and certainly would be something we would recommend. Glad to answer any questions.
Any of the commission have any questions for Mr. Duke at this time?
Mr. Duke, what is 987 right across the street? It still shows residential. Is it still a residential house?
It is still residential, and as I understand it, that used to be the residence of a former mayor. I believe that was Matt Gray's house. But the Gray family, I believe, still owns it, and it's still uses as a residence.
Yeah. And it also shows the one across Spencer Street as residential, and that's actually an office now. Isn't that right? In that State Farm office?
Yes, sir. That's one of those that I have trouble figuring out when I started here. That at some point was allowed to be an office use, and has continued as office use. It's the Chamber of Commerce, and has continued as an office use since that time. And that zoning needs to be changed. I'm not sure how that use was first established. That's one of those areas that just needs to be looked at.
Okay.
We will continue to treat it as a non-conforming use until somebody ceases to use it as an office.
Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Mayor. Anyone else having more questions? Thank you, Mr. Duke. All right, the rezoning request from R2, which is a single-family residential area, to a B2 zoning area. All in favor, let it be known by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. We don't have enough to do item 2 and 3, so we'll move to item 4, which is a replat from Glenbrook lot number 26. So if you go to item number 4, please. And that takes a simple motion, but Mr. Duke, can you kind of explain to us what we what we have here?
Mr. Blake Rice is here, who can probably explain the reasons for the replat, but the replat, this requires a simple motion and a second and a vote. This would be a piece of property that's been previously platted, and they're making a small adjustment to a lot line. Mr. Rice can tell you exactly the reasons for that.
Mr. Rice?
I was here to try to replat lot 26 in Glenbrook subdivision. This is one of the lots that backs up to the existing stormwater detention area from the first phase of Glenbrook. And what happened, completely our fault, but a house was constructed in such a manner that it's a rear carport, and as the car comes up the driveway, the house is too close to the property line to allow the car to swing in and make the turn into the carport. And because of that, we were attempting to just extend the carport out a little bit to allow for more swing room, and it would go across the rear setback. And this was a problem with the design of the house, and we have since corrected it, and no other houses, the rest of these houses are constructed. It's not like this is going to be coming back repeatedly. We have corrected the problem, but as of right now, we can't get a car in the carport, so what we're asking to do is add 5 feet onto the back of the lot to stay with, so that the rear setback for that lot will move back 5 feet, so we can add 5 feet of carport behind it. And that takes away from the stormwater green space area, and I have checked it. It does not get into anything. It is still on the upslope. Elevation is much higher than the top of the dam. No problems with anything like that.
Where did you go? Excuse me, Mayor,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Where is the sewer line in here?
It is that dash line in the middle.
Okay, so it has no effect on
No
that?
effect on that.
Okay.
It is simply taking, and actually, I mean, it's simply taking at the back of these lots. I'm sure y'all have seen them. You know, these lots come and then it starts dropping off to the slope to go down to the detention area, taking 5 feet of that slope.
Okay. Is there,
Well-
is there any effect when all the other neighbors take that 5 feet?
No, there wouldn't be, but all of those homes have been sold, and homeowners are actually,
Folks actually
private
live-
citizens living in these.
Okay.
This one has not been, but should they, worried about setting a precedent, I have checked it. Should they all want to do that, obviously it's at your discretion, but no, it would have no detrimental effect on the stormwater at all.
All right. Ma'am?
I have one more. Okay, on the right-of-way here, on the back side of that, how level is that? Okay, because actually the 5 feet you're talking about is coming back toward the sewer line, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And
How level is the property? Is that 5 feet of property?
yes.
Not at all. It's not level at all. We're not looking to place any structure on this area.
Mm-hmm.
There is a 25-foot, I believe, rear yard setback.
Mm-hmm.
So 25 feet into this property is where the issue is. So we are looking to move the rear yard setback 5 feet back.
Okay. In other words, you could do it. I mean, it could be done without this.
Yes, sir.
You know,
It just wouldn't meet the regulations.
Okay.
And I'll go ahead and tell you where I'm coming from. I have seen over the last 2 years so many times that the wastewater crews have had a very difficult time getting their equipment in because of lack of accessibility, because either the terrain is not easily accessible, or else the terrain is at such a difficult angle you could not get the heavy equipment in there that's needed for whenever there's going to be eventually some replacement here. So that's where I'm having some concerns, even though it's only 5 feet. That 5 feet can make a big difference.
Are you talking, I'm a little confused as to the question. The sanitary sewer easement is down here in the bottom. It's not in the slope.
Okay.
And then there's now, just constructed, there's another sanitary sewer line on this side that is serving the second phase of Glenbrook.
Okay,
We're in
that's
the
the side
process
I'm
of
thinking of.
constructing a big flat road for sanitary, for municipal vehicles to travel to access that right now. But all of that is on the other side of this stormwater easement.
Okay, I'm more oriented now then.
Yes, sir. This is phase. This is phase one.
Okay. Because I was out there the other day and with the wastewater crew looking things over.
That is the line that's on the other side.
Okay.
And we're in the process of actually grading that right now. Stone Martin's development coordinator and I went out there prior to this and devised a plan to go ahead and grade that flat for municipal vehicles to travel.
Okay.
But it's on the other side of the grade space.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Any more questions, Mr. Rice, from anyone? All right. Roy, would you offer us a replat for Lot 26?
I move that we replat Lot 26 as proposed.
Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Hall. Any more comments? All in favor of the replat, let it be known by raising your right hand. Motion carries. All right. Thank you. All right. Let it be known that we do have now Mr. Ray Bowles, and we have now 6 commissioners seated. The next order of business, we're going to go back to item number 2, and that's a preliminary plat of McQueen Smith and Cobb plat number 1. Now open it for a public hearing. Mr. Duke, you want to tell us? Well, Greg, you come up and tell us a little bit about what your intentions are.
On behalf of the owners, we're seeking final plat approval of the corner lot. It's directly adjacent to Crystal's and the Russell property back there behind it, or it was the Russell property at one time. It's the retail space, and you have the alley driveway in between the property. And it's been sitting there vacant for a long time, and probably should have been platted 10 years ago when all this basically came about, but they're ready to plat it. Answer any questions you may have.
Anybody have any questions, Ms. Gillen? All right, Mr. Duke, come and tell us a little bit about what Mr. Gillen want to do.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dillon is correct. This property was originally part of the what was known as the Russell property plat that was presented to this body as a sketch plan way back in 1996. And then successive plats were platted first for the Crystal Restaurant, then for Jameson Inn, and then the Strip Shopping Center to the south of that, and then Bank Trust. All those were plats that were done on this property. There's an overall stormwater scheme that was developed that was implemented in the first part of the plat, but and apparently this last lot forgot they needed to actually plat it and create the lot rather than just let it be created by default. So this plat that is proposed formally plats this one lot there on the corner. It is coming before the city at this point for development as a pharmacy, and we're beginning to see those plans come in to the department for review. Necessary infrastructure has already been stubbed out to this lot, so there are no construction plans that come with this plat. It's just a actual platting of the lot, both presented in preliminary form and final form before you today.
All right. Does any commission have any questions, Mr. Duke or Mr. Gillen? If not, we'll close the public hearing. Thank you. Chief Johnson, would you read the resolution for us? Item number 2.
Resolution preliminary plat, McQueen and Cobb Plat 1, November 15, 2012. Whereas McQueen and Cobb LLC is the owner of McQueen and Cobb Plat 1, and whereas the proposed development is located inside the city limits at the southeast corner intersection of Cobbs Ford Road and McQueen Smith Road South, and whereas a public hearing for the proposed preliminary plat was heard on November 15, 2012, and whereas the required city departments have reviewed and commented on the proposed development, now therefore be it resolved that the City of Prattville Planning Commission hereby gives its favorable review of the submitted preliminary plat of McQueen and Cobb Plat 1. I so move.
Thank you, Chief Johnson. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Bowles. Does any commission have any question of Mr. Duke or Mr. Gillen? If not, all in favor of this preliminary plat, McQueen Smith and Cobb 1, let it be known by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Thank you. Motion carries. We have a final plat for McQueen Smith and Cobb 1. Mayor, would you read that resolution for us, please? Final plat.
Yes, sir. Whereas McQueen and Cobb LLC is the owner of McQueen and Cobb Plat 1, whereas the proposed development is located inside the Prattville city limits at the southeast corner intersection of Cobbs Ford Road and McQueen Smith Road South, whereas the preliminary plat for the proposed development was approved on November 15, 2012, and whereas the required city departments have reviewed and commented on the proposed development, now therefore be it resolved that the City of Prattville Planning Commission hereby gives its favorable review of the submitted final plat of McQueen and Cobb Plat 1. Mr. President, I so move.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Colley, for seconding that motion. Does anyone of the commission have any question of Mr. Duke or Mr. Gillian at this time? If not, all in favor of the resolution for the final plat of McQueen and Cobb Plat 1, let it be known by raising your right hand. All opposed, like sign. Mr. Duke, you have anything miscellaneous? All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn? All right. Do I have a second? All in favor, let it be known by saying aye. Ayes win, so we are adjourned. Who's that?